Well, Razorback fans, there is no doubt that Sam Pittman and the Arkansas Razorbacks have done a good job, better job than what some thought at this point in time in the season. But we need to pump the brakes just a little bit. I'll tell you why on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Neighbors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday, halfway point of the week, and we are all getting ready for the big game against Ole Miss coming up this weekend, which we'll have a chance to hear what Lane Kiffin had to say about Bobby Petrino and Taylen Green. And we'll also talk a little basketball, too. Just some thoughts about Cal and the craziness that goes along with it, too. But I wanted to bring this up, and I'm shifting it a little bit than what I originally planned on doing. Arkansas is 5-3. They're 3-2 in SEC play. They are 1 win away from bowl eligibility. They are 2 wins away from getting to where I felt like was a reasonable but high expectation. They're 3 wins away from having an incredible season, and they're 4 wins away from just blowing the pants off of everybody and finishing 9-3. Don't think that's going to happen, but that is what's on the table in front of you. And Sam Pittman is somebody who was really feeling it at the end of last season. I want to revisit that, and I'm not trying to make this too negative of a podcast, but I just think that some things need to be put in the right perspective. Sam Pittman, at the end of last season, I wanted fired. There wasn't any sort of animosity about it necessarily. I didn't like the way that he handled the final press conference after the Missouri loss at home in an embarrassing fashion. And I went off on him about that a little bit. But I even said that when the hiring of Bobby Petrino happened, it was what Arkansas needed. It was the spark, it was the energy, it was the way to get people back on board and back excited about the upcoming season. And even then, there were still some reservations, which I completely understand. But it seemed like it was exactly what Arkansas needed at that point in time. Totally the way it is. And this season, Arkansas has already done tremendous compared to last season. They won 1 SEC game last year, and this year they've won 3 already. They only won 4 games total last season. They've won 5 with still 4 to go. There's no doubt that this team is better. The coaching job has been better than what it was a year ago. And there's no doubt that Arkansas has definitely impressed people, and no doubt winning that game against Tennessee in the top 5 matchup, or top 5 game in Fayetteville, was definitely the highlight of the season so far. That doesn't mean it didn't come with frustrations. You should have won that Oklahoma State game. It was frustrating to watch what Arkansas did against A&M. And it was also frustrating to see Arkansas, after a bye week, come out just not even prepared, it seemed like, to take on an LSU team that beat them pretty handedly in Fayetteville in front of the home crowd. Now, I'm not saying all this that's something that you don't already know, but I did see some people circulating on social media and whatnot, people of note, I guess, about Sam Pittman and the job that he's done, and how there's people around the country that are just in awe of the job that Sam Pittman has done at Arkansas, and how, you want somebody that's here and he's done all this, and he is the best man for the job and incredible. Let me just stop you right there. Okay? Let me stop you right there. I like Sam Pittman. I really do. I root for him. If Arkansas was to win a national championship in football, I'd want him hoisting the trophy. I respect him. Okay? Get that out of the way. But the idea that this thing in this season so far about Sam Pittman is some sort of, hey, told you so type of thing to the fans that wanted him gone after last season, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. 2 things can be true at once. You can say how good of a job a coach has done in a season, while also still holding fast the total body of work and the longevity of this and saying, you know what, but to get to the next level, you may need to go a different direction. Or you may have seen the peak of what he's been able to do as head coach. Those two things can be true. But I am just floored sometimes, and there's been a lot of people that have done this. I am floored at the ways and how sometimes people just try to make this as some sort of thing like Razorback fans, you should just be happy you even have someone like Sam Pittman to coach you. You should just be happy that you're winning 6 or maybe 7 games this season. You should just be happy with that because you're not worth any more wins than that. That's what that says. You're not worth any more than that. You have an unrealistic expectation if you think that you can ever get any better than 6 or 7 wins. You're little old Arkansas. You should just be happy that you can even compete. And I want to say so many words to that'll get me fined or get me taken off this podcast, but I'm not going to. But that is a loser mentality. I'm not expecting Razorback football to win national championships. I live in reality. I'm not expecting Arkansas to win the SEC. I live in a reality. But what I do expect is consistent building and a brand of football that can be competitive and that also can win you games. Something that can make it fun, something that can make you competitive in this conference, where if you want to have it boiled down directly, I think Arkansas needs to be a program that averages 7 wins, 6 to 8 wins every year at minimum. And then every 3 years or so, get to that 9-10 win range. That's not out of the realm of possibility. That's not. It just isn't. And what also I don't accept is when you have games and you have losses that happen on your schedule, which always happens everywhere, but that has become a coach's problem, where the coach is the reason why those games were lost, whether it's bad management, whether it was not having them prepared, whatever it is. That's what I can't accept. I think Sam Pittman's done a great job this year. I do. He has climbed back out of the cellar and went from going 1-7 to having a chance to go 500 in the SEC, maybe even better. I applaud him for that. But there is nothing that'll piss me off more than anybody of note that looks at Razorback fans and Razorback football and say, you should just be happy you even exist. Because that's kind of how it feels. Hey, the national media says all these things. You should be thankful for it. Who cares about what the national media says about Arkansas? You know why? You know why they don't matter? Because most of them have never even been here and they don't know what Arkansas is capable of. I still come from the days where you had a Darren McFadden. I came from the days where you had Ryan Mallett. I came from the days when you had a Matt Jones. I came from those days, and I know things have changed. But the idea that Arkansas football can never be relevant in a capacity to compete for an SEC title at some point in time is ridiculous, and I don't accept that. I do not accept that loser mentality. There's a difference between having an expectation and a realistic expectation. Anybody that is a Razorback fan that expects national championships every year in football, that's not realistic. It's not realistic for anybody. But I think given the circumstances and given the type of program that you have, it's not unheard of to expect more. Ole Miss is a great example. I say they're doing pretty good under Lane Kiffin, right? Is Ole Miss that far superior of a program than you, to where you can't have and mimic that similar success of what Lane Kiffin's done at Ole Miss? Why not? They're doing it. And could you not have similar success to what you've seen in other programs that are similar to you? Yeah, you can. What's the problem here? What's the issue? There isn't one. It just bothers me anytime somebody tries to tell Razorback fans that you should just be happy with this. No. And this whole flexing and the I told you so type of thing, that ain't going to fly with me. It never has and it never will. And I don't want to make this about me, but I'm going to here for a second but before we move on to the next segment, because again, this just really pissed me off. I get called a fanboy a lot. I get called Homer. I get called, all these things in the book. And it doesn't bother me. I don't care because I am a fan. I want Razorback sports to do very well and be highly successful in every regard. I'll admit it. I'm for that. I want that. But I am never going to be a fan of the man. I'm going to be a fan of the team, of the school, of the fans themselves, because coaches will come and go. ADs will come and go. Players will come and go. But the one big constant will still be the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I am not going to hold water for anybody that is doing less than what is expected here at the University of Arkansas. I root for the school. I root for the team. I will never root for the man or the woman that coaches Arkansas sports. It's a privilege to have you here, and I hope you do well. And I'm going to root for you to do well, but for you to do well here, not wherever you go. Hopefully that made sense. I just shot from the hip on that one, and it just really upset me. So anyways, on a lighter note, on the other side of the break, we'll talk about what Lane Kiffin had to say about Taylen Green, about Bobby Petrino, and about some of the things that Arkansas has going on. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, I'm going to tell you about the Game Time app. We know this weekend is the Arkansas Ole Miss game happening in Fayetteville, and there may be some of you out there that are still trying to find tickets for this game. There's still some available, but you want to get the best deal, right? Well, look no further than the Game Time app. When you download the Game Time app, you'll be able to get all the best deals, not only for sporting events like the Razorback game this weekend, but also concerts, comedy shows, theater shows, and so much more. And one of my favorite things about it is when you download the app, you can toggle the all-in pricing setting. So that way you get all the all-in pricing up front. None of these hidden fees to where you say, hey, that's a great deal. You click on it, and 3 steps later, your price is doubled. No. You can toggle that feature, and you'll see exactly how much it's going to cost you right then and there, right up front. You also get a panoramic view of the seat that you'll be buying on the app. So you won't have to worry about having some sort of crap seat sitting behind a big pole that no one told you about or you never even realized it. You'll get to see it right up front. And also, they give you the lowest price guaranteed, which will give you credit there with Game Time if you find a place cheaper with 110% of the difference. Your purchase is also covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Well, it's game time. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, I want to dive into a little bit of the game with Arkansas and Ole Miss, which we'll have Stephen Willis of Locked On. I think it's Locked On Ole Miss, or is it Locked On Rebels? One of the two. But we'll have him on later this week and to do a little crossover action and talk about it. But Lane Kiffin did meet with the media on Monday and was previewing a little bit about Arkansas. And he had some interesting thoughts, and especially talking about Taylen Green, Bobby Petrino, and the challenges that is presented by Taylen Green being the quarterback. So take a listen.
We got to do a great job containing him. This guy's as talented and long as they come. And so, we're going to have to do whatever he tries to do, rush really well and contain him and have a really good plan. And Coach Petrino for a long time has done a great job on offense and given people a lot of problems. We played them last year and he did a good job against us. So, like I said, this is a really well-coached team all around. They made major defensive improvements in year one a year ago with their new defensive staff, and they're doing a great job.
So really high praise there from Lane Kiffin. And, some people may say, oh, well, that's just what he does. And that's what he says about everybody. And I think he's always going to have a level of respect for no matter which player that he's going to be coaching up against, and especially the quarterback of the other team. But I will say this, as weird as it is, Lane Kiffin and Sam Pittman actually have a very strong respect for one another. I know it's really tough to not like Sam Pittman, and it's really tough in the coaching circles to not like Sam Pittman. And I think that there are maybe one for sure coach that that Sam Pittman does not get along with. And I think we all know who it is. It's the team they play at the end of the year. But still, there is a mutual respect there between Lane Kiffin and Sam Pittman. They've always gotten along and they've always respected each other. So to hear what Lane Kiffin has to say about Taylen Green is always really interesting because he is an offensive mind. He is a quarterback guy. And when he talks about Bobby Petrino, it's kind of the same thing. Well, another cool thing about Taylen Green, this actually came out yesterday, was that Taylen Green was the Walter Camp National Player of the Week, which is always a big honor for anybody. And what makes this so unique is that he is the first Offensive Player of the Week to be at Arkansas for the Walter Camp Award since the late Ryan Mallett. Rest in peace, 1-5. So some real great national recognition coming in for him. Taylen Green is the type of quarterback that coming into the season and coming into this situation that Arkansas was in, you think about the amount of pressure that was on him. I'm not trying to feel sorry for him or anything because he's doing a great job with it. But you're talking about, okay, you're at Boise, didn't have the greatest numbers in the world. We're going to bring you into an SEC school, and we're bringing you in that has a new offensive coordinator, Bobby Petrino, that selected you. You are the guy. You are the man. You're the one that he wants, and he's bringing you in to lead this offense, to be successful. And on top of that, you're coming into a situation where the head coach is on the hot seat. This is a do or die type of year, and you have a really difficult schedule in front of you, and you're going to be playing with an offensive line that has not played together, and you're going to have a few new running backs that are going to be into the mix that you're going to be handing the ball off that was not here last year, as well as new coaches besides the offensive line, besides the tight end coach that are all new and going in together. Have fun. That's pretty much what the situation he was thrown into. And so to see all the upside of Taylen Green and what he was able to do and what he was capable of doing, to see it actually come to fruition is impressive. And I love the fact that he is getting the praise that he deserves. He had a great game against Mississippi State, and we talked about it. It was kind of one of those funny things of, whatever. It was Mississippi State that had a terrible defense, and you're right, they do. But they still got the job done. Taylen Green still got the job done. He has played well enough, and he has improved as the season has gone on, and that is not up for debate. That's all you can ask for somebody like him. And for a quarterback or for any player, but especially the quarterback, have you improved as the year has gone on? And I think that is a resounding yes about Taylen Green. He's got to continue to improve. He's got to continue to do some good things. He's got to continue to be confident. And there's no doubt that the next few games are going to be crucial to the Razorback football success this season. But he has what he needs. If he goes out there and he performs well against Ole Miss, because Ole Miss has a really good defense. I know it's weird to think because of the fact that they've always had really great offenses and the defenses have been suspect at times, but their defense is actually the best part of their team, if you believe it or not. So if he's able to go out there against Ole Miss, the team that is number one in sacks in the SEC, one of the best teams in the country at getting to the quarterback, and find ways, whether it's with his feet, whether with the arm, whatever it is, but just play well enough to win that game and to do it in an effective way, you're really going to start to see the confidence roll in to where, assuming that Taylen Green comes back next year and is with Bobby Petrino at Arkansas, which I think is pretty likely no matter what, he could really go into the SEC and be considered to be one of the best quarterbacks that are going to be in this league next season. I know I'm looking ahead, but I'm just saying that's the type of upside he's provided. That's the type of potential that he truly has. And it's just nice to see him finally getting his flowers for it and seeing him have that confidence because he absolutely deserves it. We're going to talk a little bit about Cal and the Cal impact and the Cal factor here in just a little bit. So stay with us here on Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I talked a little bit about this on my show on Inside Arkansas Live, but I wanted to bring it up here because there's still some thoughts that I didn't get a chance to portray. And it's dealing with John Calipari. John Calipari, we all know the expectation and the excitement surrounding him. We all know the stuff that's going on and what he is trying to accomplish at Arkansas and the level of pressure that's on him to perform. And I think up to this point, I know they've not played any real games and they've only had one exhibition game and everything. But if you were going to give a grade to the job that John Calipari has done here in just a few months, I think it's an A+. He's brought in great talent. He's brought in guys that have played together. He's brought in transfer portals, freshmen, 5-star All-Americans. He's brought in excitement. He's brought in attention. He's brought in a schedule to go along with it. He is doing it all. He is absolutely doing it all. And so he's got to win. We all know that, and we'll see how that goes. But then on top of all of that is the Cal impact outside of basketball. During his coach's show, he sent Kenny Payne to do his coach's show earlier this week, which is fine. That's not what I'm going to really harvest on. He had to do what he had to do, but it made me wonder, okay, so where is he at? Well, he takes a picture, and he's up there at the World Series Game 3 in New York City with the Yankees sitting in a box with famous people. And when I saw that, it really just continues to hit home for me that this is a celebrity that's a basketball coach. That is not an insult. It's just showing that he is a larger-than-life individual. And at a place like Arkansas, it's really unique. I love the state. I think that people constantly undervalue and underrate what this state is capable of. But I also understand that it's still Arkansas. It's not a state that you have a little over 3 million people. It's not a state that has a lot of celebrities, a lot of people that are being featured on feature-length films and whatnot. It's like Billy Bob Thornton is one of the biggest actors to come from here. And I don't even know if he ever hangs out around here anymore. But still, the point is that the celebrity spotlight thing is not what Arkansas has really been known for. Yeah, sure, John Daly, Bill Clinton, all that, but it's not something that is currently going on at the University of Arkansas in the Razorback athletic program. But that's what Cal has done. He's brought a lot of that type of attention, that type of status here to Fayetteville. And I love it, and I'm here for it. But the biggest thing that I'm going to be wondering about is how Razorback fans will continue to handle it. As long as you're winning, everyone's going to be happy, and we're all going to assume that the winning is going to come with it. We're not even going to think about the other side. So let's just assume that the winning is going to come along with it. Going to a game of Bud Walton Arena, and then you see some sort of famous NBA player. You see a Devin Booker in the stands. Is that going to do anything for you? Well, maybe not. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you don't even know who he is. But that's going to be one of those eye-raising, holy crap, that's Devin Booker. Now, what if you see Karl Anthony Towns? All these players that played under Cal, what if they just appear at a Razorback game? It's pretty big time. It's pretty crazy. What if he gets celebrities that show up there? I'm not expecting LeBron James and Drake because those guys showed up at Kentucky, but what if? How would Razorback fans feel about having LeBron James at a game? Be kind of yeah, man, that's weird. That's crazy. I'm not trying to overvalue or be overly dramatic. I'm just saying that it's a whole new animal where Cal's doing all the greatest things. He's doing great things for the community. He's doing great things for the state. He's doing great things for the school. So it's not like he's going to ever view himself as larger or bigger than what's going on here in the state. But when you see that element get creeped in, that people that have no connection to you, Arkansans, but have a connection to Cal, and they roll in and they're there and they're wearing a Razorback hoodie or something like that, you're going to be like, I don't get this at all. This is weird. What do I do with my hands? I was just, we're just over here. If we ever got a celebrity, it was usually someone that's always connected with Arkansas. And on the random case that we got Jessica Alba that one time, no one even knew she was there. So it's going to happen though, folks. You're going to see some pretty impressive things when Cal is at Arkansas off the court. But as we mentioned, and as we talk about, and as we know is what's most important, the winning has to come with it. Has to come with it each and every time. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Neighbors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See you then.